Ryan, Fox Sports, ScarletReport.com, here with Sam Hellman. Rutgers 28-24 win against Arkansas Saturday. Rutgers moves to 3-1, and Sam, we'll just get right to it. For as awful as Rutgers was offensively for, let's say, 45 minutes, the fourth quarter, they were remarkable, and I think it also showed, look, Rutgers did a great job coming back, but it also showed that this Arkansas program does have a lot of work to do, and you can't lose sight of that either. To me, though, heading into a bye week on what looked like just what was going to be a dreadful loss, it turns into a win that a lot of people are going to remember for a long time.
You know, you can't give Rutgers all the credit because, like you said, Arkansas definitely played a role in needing to do more defensively in the fourth quarter. But, you know, Rutgers showed a toughness and a willingness to compete that we don't always see late in games. Gary Nova bounced back from a brutal first quarter. Not all his fault because the protection wasn't great, but he bounced back with 2 big-time touchdown throws. And on top of that, he was coming off of a concussion. So 350 passing yards 7 days after a concussion and leading Rutgers from a 3-score deficit to a win. Give Gary Nova some credit.
Yeah, and I know people will talk about, see, here's a big thing to me. It's SEC school, and people say SEC school, and you'll remember that this is an Arkansas team that, you know, whether it's good or bad, you're going to remember it was Arkansas, and Arkansas carries big cachet with it. The place was electric. You were here in 2006, maybe not, how young you are. But, you know, everybody's talking about that was here for that, and this game, the comparisons to the atmosphere. And I give people credit because, you know, I know people get frustrated the fans don't come in early. I thought they were in early for the game. There was an opportunity for them to leave at 24/7. They hung out and stayed, and reward. You know, they were rewarded for it, and I think Rutgers fed off that. And I'm not a big guy when it comes to the crowd having much of an impact. I really think it's down to execution. But I do think I do think the crowd did impact some things, especially defensively for Rutgers.
Yeah, it made some memorable moments, but I mean, as always, I think the crowd and the impact of that is biggest with what it means to the players to feel the support and what it means to the recruits sitting in the front row. You know that recruits watching this game were a little wide-eyed, you know, hey, this is pretty good. This is better than what I've seen the last time I was at Rutgers.
Yeah, and obviously we'll have recruit reaction, you know, during the weekend. But, you know, looking at this, I look at a couple things, and one, the ability of Gary Nova to turn things around in the fourth quarter was staggering to me in the sense that in the first quarter, the interception he threw was brutal. There was no other way. The interception for a pick, he panicked under pressure, threw it out to the right side. It was supposed to be thrown to the sideline more. It was thrown in the middle, pick six, easy. And then there was a stretch where he had some easy throws over the middle where they're behind route. You know, if a receiver's running a route and he's got to reach back to catch it, it's not easy at full speed. And then all of a sudden he started putting things together and getting in a rhythm, and it coincided with Paul James going down and them deciding we're going to win or lose on Gary Nova's right arm. And, you know, for Rutgers, it turned out great because he made some unbelievable throws, including the go-ahead score where he looked one way and there was not a tight window to get that in, and he got it into that window. Peru goes down, makes a great catch. But to me, what he did in the fourth quarter, I want to see if this vaults him to the next level as a quarterback.
Yeah, there are a lot of times, even this season, where you say something like, well, this all comes down to Gary Nova's arm, and people are going to say, uh-oh. But you know what? In the fourth quarter, after a pretty bad first quarter, you know, a first half that did not go well for him, you know, like Bret Hart says, he was the excellence of execution. He and Leonte Carew really hooked up and made some nice plays. And again, you can't really mention that stuff without what happened right before with Janarian Grant and just an electric punt return to get it all started. That was really where things just kind of flipped, and Rutgers had all the momentum after that.
It was. As happy as Rutgers fans are about the win, you getting a wrestling reference in makes Sam's night. You know, and I'll just say in closing this, the defense played unbelievable. And you look at 24 points, they gave up one drive. One drive. I mean, they were phenomenal, and for them to be able to see it out after Rutgers takes the 28-24 lead, to me was a great way for them to end it. I think, you know, Savon Huggins kind of runs the clock out and did the job there, but the defensive effort that they gave was just tremendous because they played physical all 11. It wasn't just the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and you got to give some credit to Quentin Gauze. You know, he came in as a starter. Didn't even really know if he was going to start this week. Jamal Morrell's hurt, and Quentin Gauze played lights out tonight.
He did, and in closing, you know, they head into the bye 3-1. Feels a lot better than 2-2 if you're a Rutgers fan, and if you play for Rutgers. But to be honest, it all matters in what they do in the AAC, or whatever they call it, conference.